Hello and welcome to my therapy session. Today we're going through the files of Colleen Ballinger's career as fast as possible to set a new, previously non-existent world record. So you see the stakes are very serious around here. I'm in my gamer stance right now, can already feel the sweaty atmosphere like we're at an average anime convention before we even started, so I think everything's in place and we can begin. Give me that shit. Colleen Ballinger joined the YouTube community in July 31st, 2006. Holy shit, her channel is older than most of her fans. We'll come back to that point later though. Trust me. Her first video on there is titled Rachel Sweet 16, which, once again, is just more foreshadowing if you think about it. Not to mention she posted baby videos of her relatives soon after, which normally would be nothing, just cute little memorials. But because of these things being posted by a now confirmed predator is just, a bit tasteless. At the same time, law doesn't work backwards, and she probably wasn't a groomer back then, so I'm just saying how weird it looks nowadays. This is not any kind of accusation. Anyway, her content back then consisted of acted out vlogs, which means she and her family, who also took part in these films, were playing characters and had little gags thrown in between it. One of the first characters, and as we'd later find out, the most prominent one for Colleen, was Miranda Sings, a singer, see what she did there, with less than great abilities to actually perform well, as Colleen herself trained in the musical field since the beginning of times. Yes, I just called her old. I'm not sorry. She had the experience of meeting people who apparently, according to her own testament, were just like Miranda Sings. Cocky, arrogant, and certain that they are the best the music industry has ever seen, while not actually possessing any talent in that field whatsoever. Specifically, Colleen said that she was a parody of some girls from her class who were loudly playing music and singing to it during recess, meaning she was still mocking teenagers while she was around 30 years old. Holy shit, talk about mentally peaking in high school. But we're jumping the gun here. Back in 2008, on January 31st, she created a YouTube channel specifically for Miranda Sings skits. And I get holding resentment towards your bullies. Trust me when I say I do. But come on, that's not healthy, that's one. And two, those are still kids. Your 30-year-old ass is mocking publicly. Grow the fuck up. Anyway, screw personal growth and all of that corny garbage, apparently, because Miranda was gaining a good amount of traction, especially when you consider the statistics of average view count of late 2000s and early 2010s. It wasn't exactly career-making just yet, but the future was looking bright and the numbers were crazy basically ever since day one. Colleen, or rather Miranda, was slowly adapting to target younger audiences, as in the beginning her videos were definitely more unhinged, uncensored, racist and full of hate to people with specific body types. Oh wait, that last part never truly changed. My bad. Colleen, because of her acting and musical background, met and invited to the channel some certainly interesting people, like Ariana Grande for example. This is like the most random collaboration I've ever witnessed with my own two eyes, but apparently it happened. From this point on, there's not much to talk about when it comes to her uploads. They were simply consistent, from parody covers, skits and simple vlogs, to Colleen performing live on stage. Over the years, both Miranda and Colleen garnered a loyal audience around their personalities, with Colleen definitely being carried by her Miranda's character. But hey, when you hit big, you better keep shooting for the stars. Truly inspirational shit right there. We're really taking away positive threats from fucking Colleen Ballinger, out of all people. That's legendary. But let's finally hit our time skip, as there'd be nothing really worth mentioning for a couple of years, other than maybe videos with her then boyfriend, who will be relevant later on. Now, based on description of her content, you would probably think, that shit sounds like it was literally made for TikTok. Was this woman a time traveler? And while I agree that she truly was a pioneer, people were never truly ready for the level of quality she was producing on a day-to-day basis up until the inception of TikTok, or rather Musically, or rather Vine. Oh, give me a break. It's literally the same thing. The format was perfect for her. That's my point. So, she obviously used Vine back around 2016, and she garnered even more following this way. Enough following, in fact, to absolutely break the mold like she's Smash Mouth with the first ever Netflix special being created by a YouTuber. Yes, she was a very big deal, as you can tell. Although she would hate me calling her big, seeing as she's unhealthily obsessed with everyone's bodies, being as slim as possible, because she wouldn't be a bad enough villain without being this judgmental over everyone, of course. At this point, Miranda was a full-fledged celebrity, and I probably don't have to mention that during those times her audience was comprised of mostly children, which is nothing bad in itself, it's simply worth noting. Because, as we would later come to realize, it was back during these times that Colleen would take part in her fanbase's group chats, with at least one of them confirmed and others being more or less alleged and implied to exist. So if you want to believe she only participated in this specific one, then I agree that it's a possibility, is all I'm gonna say to avoid going outside of the territory of proven facts. The chat consisted of over 20 people, including Colleen and her sister, with the rest of the people in it being mostly 13 to 17 years old. There was also a 12-year-old there, just saying. The contact with her fans was something relevant for years, with one of the fans being a kid named Adam, who in 2020, when he turned 18, told the long story of Colleen Ballinger exploiting and grooming him since he was 13 years old. 13 years old! It was during those times that we've also begun to see the chatroom conversations, many of which were heading in a very weird or straight up sexual directions. For example, when Colleen was asking teenage girls about the specifics of them experiencing their first period, or asking about favorite sex positions. Yeah, an absolute roach to society. Wouldn't you agree? Colleen responded to the allegations, and hear me the fuck out, because I can't possibly fathom this shit. In one of her points, where she was responding to the allegation of her sending her bra to a 13-year-old as some kind of a prize during her live stream, everything being recorded, the cameras pointing directly at her, 4K kind of called EDP style, only with the victim being actually real.
Send him something. Do you want the bra, Adam?
Do you want the bra?
She said that context to that situation was everything. Context to her sending her undergarment to a literal child. What the fuck am I listening to? And you know what's the most deranged part of this whole story? That people took her side back then. What in the world of absolutely delusional fuckery was the internet thinking? Not even the strongest drugs in the world could explain this. Motherfuckers high on ayahuasca would be like, oh, you're tripping. Like, holy shit, how far will people go to defend their favorite creators is so much beyond me. I wouldn't get it while falling off a fucking skyscraper without a parachute, because you couldn't possibly get low enough to ever comprehend it. I understand not 100% trusting everyone who claims they are the victim every single time. Yes, but that singular argument, fully documented and all, I just don't understand how it can be excused like it's nothing. And then, as if the situation wasn't treated absolutely horrible by the Colleen Ballinger's fandom already, they ostracized the guy, started hating on him, and just called him a total liar and a fraud. Because obvious 4K video proof just ain't enough to prove anything. He does. I said I understand not immediately believing everything, but what I don't understand is being biased against the potential victim side as well. If you want to be objective, be consistent, and don't fucking attack someone who came out with a story when you don't know if it's real or not. It's worth noting that one person who was defending this action was none other than James Charles. They really stick together for themselves, don't they? He was pleading for the bra for years. Who? The 13-year-old boy? What? Was he throwing fucking temper tantrums over the internet when he was 9? Just as a kid would? Oh shit, I can't stand a kid's demand. I'm the adult here and this is a literal child, but the pressure is just too much. Like, is that your argument? Great one, buddy. But just because your emotional intelligence never evolved again ever since you were 12 doesn't mean you are not meant to have enough common sense to just not listen to a kid then. It's that fucking simple. Hey, James Charles, throw yourself into the deepest pits of hell or I'm gonna cry in your DMs for years. Come on, James. Why aren't you jumping? According to your logic, we have no other option now. But at least you'll be able to play the victim afterwards, so it's all good. Back then, Adam exposed that Ballinger was basically a fucking shoe factory the way she was commencing child labor for her Miranda character, giving Adam access to her Twitter account in order for him to post on it, because she was losing traction and didn't know what to do. So the best thing she could come up with was not to use your literal damn millions to get some professional help. No, it was to gaslight a teenager into saving your dumbass for you, all while promising him employment when he
proves himself.
Okay, but what about her channels? Well, mostly the same, with the main difference being Colleen now having children. Yes, ever since she became pregnant, her channel kinda began to just be about that, which is fair, since this is one of the biggest changes life can give you, so I don't blame her for this particular thing. It's just that after the pregnancy, she basically became a family channel. That's quite a big shift. She wasn't like one of those degenerative family channels as far as I've seen. In the meantime, she also divorced Joshua Evans. She would overshare very private parts of their married lives with him for Adam to, once again coming back to the child labor argument, post those private informations on blogs that hated on this said husband, etc. Basically, she was manipulating the kid to create hate campaigns against the dude, leaking private information about him and whatnot. Remember that Colleen was also a performer and a musician, and so she had a lot of live shows, which I briefly mentioned earlier. You can probably guess what kind of audience was mostly there. The shows were naturally being recorded and surprise! Some really disturbing shit was happening there oftenly. Colleen herself taking pride in
appealing to everyone,
both younger and older audiences, using an example of telling sexually explicit jokes to make the adults slap their knees while the audience consisting of mainly children is still there.
Take a lot of pride in with my live shows is that it is for all ages. Like, there are jokes that kids will laugh at and there are jokes that will go over the kids' heads and are inappropriate, like sexual innuendos, like funny intellectual jokes.
Jokes like sexualizing a fetus of her own child, or, and this is the absolute worst thing ever, making a random teenager, a viewer of her show, take revealing poses on the stage, all while Colleen herself, the teenager's idol, is making fun of her body and calling her a kid, and here I quote,
porny.
I'm sorry, but holy shit, she belongs in jail, in hell, in Tartarus, and what the fuck is she still doing outside of the prison block after that? This kind of person not only has freedom, but also a ginormous audience adoring her. Let that sink in. The allegations would surface again with the masses finally realizing, oh shit, maybe the fully documented video proof was right all along. like they just discovered Santa was actually a sex offender all along. And everything collapsed. Adam was getting his apologies from the community for them not believing and attacking him. Colleen was trying to keep it silent, but as the weight of allegations became too big, she cracked under the pressure and made a response video. The most iconic, epic video of her career. She created a new meta of apology videos all by herself. Sadly, as far as I'm aware, nobody was dumb enough to actually use it outside of its creator, but this really was internet breaking back then. Not a single soul who reacted to this video was not completely flabbergasted by what they are bestowing their eyes upon. It was like watching a train wreck while soothing ukulele melodies are softly playing in the background. I know I said it's an apology video, but it can hardly be called that. She basically calls people haters for telling the truth about her actions, all while portraying herself as a victim of cyberbullying and basically spitting in faces of all the kids who were hurt by her so severely that some traumas linger to them to this day, and probably to some extent will for the rest of their lives. After this gem of cinematographic art, Colleen seemingly went through a very hard writer's block, probably because she peaked right there and knew it was all downhill from here. So she didn't upload anything for about 2 months to none of her channels, all while more allegations like the one about Colleen watching NSFW Trisha Paytas OnlyFans creations with her fans and constantly laughing and body-shaming her in front of her audience. Very classy, if that's true. After these very sad times of content drought, she sporadically posted vlogs on her Colleen Vlogs channel. Because where else? The first video being titled Fall Vlog, which started with backtracking from allegations and vaguely apologizing for
handling the situation wrong.
She also mentioned going to therapy, which is good, as rehabilitation is the most important thing for this woman. I still personally believe it should be from jail because of how dangerous and deranged her actions were and could possibly be. But I also understand that she's a mother of 3 children, which is very worrying in a way, but those are very morally complex waters we are getting ourselves into, and we don't have time for that. It seems that her comments are very heavily censored, with only good things being said about her, which is a simple and effective strategy to keep children interested and engaged. Because, frankly speaking, most children just don't give a flying fuck and don't comprehend the severity of one's crimes and how dangerous they are perceived as. All they care about is that they are entertaining and they seem likable. That's it. Not to mention the content is very relatable to them because of the inclusion of Colleen's kids. It looks cute, innocent, and I admit that I, a grown-ass man, sees how easy it would be to sympathize with content like hers. It simply looks wholesome, everyone taking part in those videos sees her in a great light, because she's the children's mother and because she's the pet's owner. Obviously, kids and animals won't comprehend that their closest family member is actually a horrible woman, but thankfully we are able to know what kind of person is behind all of it. And the fact that she refused to take accountability even after all that time, after already having some counseling sessions with the therapist, makes it very hard to believe that she truly wants to change or even understands why she'd need to change in the first place. With this strategy in motion, Colleen is now fully back into the YouTube game with her talking about her shows like she'd hint at having a comeback season of performing in public, mentioning cute story of her child helping her overcome a panic attack, which again would be very cute if we weren't talking about specifically her shows which objectified minors. And I can sympathize with suffering from anxiety. It's absolutely fucking horrible, and I don't wish it upon anyone. But Colleen is not an icon of bravery. Making yourself to be a victim after what you've done without ever admitting to just how horrible you were ain't it, Shiv. You're just coming off as a total narcissist, showcasing all of the worst traits of the narcissistic personality disorder without a iota of awareness inside your school. So I guess nothing really changed when it comes to her channel after all. Time. Done. Those were about 16 years of the ukulele woman's YouTube career condensed into what you just watched. This is now an official world record. You are free to try overtaking it if you want. There are definitely some strats and shortcuts I haven't used that could upgrade my speed. If you like the idea of these kinds of videos and you have a particular creator you'd want to see me speedrun a career of, you are more than welcome to tell me in the comment section. You can make me suffer by choosing someone with 20 years of recorded history again like I did to myself, or you can suggest someone who's not controversial and you think they are actually great creators with an interesting history to tell in this format. Either way, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next session.